So according to the US State Department, there are as many as 27 million human trafficking victims in the world today. And about 50% of them are children, says the US Department of Justice. Now these numbers would be entirely unforgivable, if you ask me, if this issue ever received any media exposure. However, very few people are familiar with these numbers, and that's part of why we're here today. My name is Daniel Sullivan. This is my colleague Rachel Davari. We're undergraduate students at St. Edward's University, and we're here to represent the Polaris Project. So I have some more statistics and facts to share with you, and then I'll hand it over to Rachel, who can tell you about our current projects, as well as what you can do to help end human trafficking. So, before I get into the facts, I feel like I need to properly define human trafficking. To summarize the UN definition, human trafficking is a form of modern slavery involving any act of harboring or receiving an individual against his or her own will for the purpose of exploiting them. Now the numbers. There are over 17,000 people trafficked into the United States every single year. And as disturbing as that is, it pales in comparison to my previously mentioned 27 million total victims worldwide. According to the UN, 79% of the victims are subjected to sexual exploitation, which makes the fact that half of them are children that much more disturbing. Still, the scope of this criminal industry raises the question, how is it possible it could still be going on today? Well, our research has shown that the human trafficking industry brings in about $32 billion every single year, a great deal of which goes towards bribing law enforcement officials and politicians into allowing traffickers to continue doing business. So that's where we have to step in. Now I'll hand it over to Rachel, who can tell you about our current projects aimed at ending this disgusting enterprise.
We offer client services such as transitional housing, job training, individual and group therapy, and drop-in centers for survivors and victims of human trafficking. In addition to our hands-on services, we also offer political advocacy directed towards, which works to advance the state and federal policy related to the crime of human trafficking. Our goal is to focus on helping the victims and survivors of this tragedy by making the cause known to everyone and holding those accountable who the human trafficker is accountable for their crimes. In the past year, we have made laws and regulations in over a dozen states in the US. We also have a national toll-free hotline, which is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year. And you can call this hotline at any time to report a tip on human trafficking or even just to learn more about the project. We are always striving to expand the project to stop human trafficking worldwide. We currently have our efforts focused mainly in the United States and Japan. But as of 2010, we're working to globalize our efforts. We have met with foreign delegations from over 85 countries throughout the world to teach them the lessons we have learned from our work. I'd now like to teach you guys about what you guys can do to stop human trafficking and make a difference. You can join the thousands of people across the country that are taking the steps in their local areas to end modern-day slavery by simply advocating, getting involved by volunteering, making donations, raising money, visiting the website to find more information about how you can attend events to support the Polaris Project, learn all you can about human trafficking, and spread the word at www.polarisproject.org. There are always ways to help. For example, there are currently 2 laws which are in the process or which are processing in the state of California's legislature. These bills can help enable human traffickers to have the freedom to rebuild their lives. Our hotline receives more calls from the state of California than any other state in the United States. And 20% of those calls have to do with people who are reporting a tip on human trafficking and people who are currently in a crisis. We need your help and support to stop human trafficking, especially in the state of California. You can support this bill by, you can ask your state legislators to support the bill of AB 1940. AB 1940 would allow victims of trafficking who were wrongfully convicted of prostitution to petition the court to set aside their conviction and erase their records for the arrest of being trafficked. You can let your legislature know that human trafficking is a vicious crime and that to vote and ask them to vote yes on the cause by visiting our website where we have easy access to your local state legislatures' phone numbers and email addresses. Now I'm going to hand it over to Daniel to wrap it up for us.
Thanks, Rachel. So today we told you a little bit about some of the major facts regarding human trafficking, like how there are 27 million victims in the world today. We also told you a little bit about what the Polaris Project does to bring that number down, like our policy advocacy program. Lastly, we explained a little bit about what you yourself can do to help, like writing your state legislature and donating. So that's all. Does anybody have any questions?